Okay, so if I was applying for a leadership position and I hadn't been in a leadership position in the past, one of the first things I would be doing is looking over my experience and thinking about when have I acted in some leadership capacity. So it could be, I could have been a leader within my sports club. I could have been a leader at a volunteer place that I worked. And when I say leader, think about leader in terms of people followed you, or they took direction from you, or you inspired people, or so you don't have to have been a manager or a leader to demonstrate leadership skills. In fact, a lot of organizations that have leadership frameworks, they apply leadership from executive all the way down to someone new joining the organization. They see it as a spectrum, so that leader could be someone that's leading an agenda, or leading a portfolio, or leading a function. If I'm an accountant, I might be leadership over a number or a reporting function. I may not have people directly report to me, but I do have some leadership skills. So I think one of the useful things you can do is to demystify, break down what it means to be a leader. There are lots of leadership frameworks, and I'll put a few links in the description of some leadership frameworks, and go through those and look at them and go, have I done that sort of stuff? Like in leadership frameworks I've seen in the past, they had vision as one of the leadership attributes. So coming up with a vision. So if you've been in a role where you've had to come up with a vision, that's demonstrating some leadership capacity. If you've ever had to do stuff around agility, you've had to change the way you've done certain things, that can be a leadership trait. Connection, if you've had to connect with customers or clients. So what I'm doing is, I know traditionally leadership may be seen as people directly report to you. What I'm saying is, if you don't have that, don't dismiss yourself as not being a leader. You have led functions, and then we can look at a little bit later the people aspect, and we can look at how you can sort of show that as well, so that you're already showing the operational side of leadership that you've done, and then we're going to look at those other people-based attributes. So leadership framework, really good for looking at those operational sides of things that leaders may do, which is one piece of the puzzle. So it's not just about managing people, you're managing agendas, you might be managing budgets, you might be being agile in terms of changing the way things are done. Reward and recognition, there could be lots of things. So first thing, we need to get clear on what leaders actually do, broader than just look after people or influence people. So the people attribute is obviously really strong. So what I want you to do is to think about, is there times where you've been a mentor for other people? It doesn't have to be a formal mentor program, where someone specifically has come for you for advice. Think about, in any of the jobs, who's come for you advice? So it might be new employees, it could be a specialist in a particular area. Think about a time when you've actually, given people specific information. That could be an example of demonstrating people-based leadership capabilities. Other things could be that you trained new people, for example, or it could be coaching. People come to you and you ask lots and lots of questions to help them change the way they think about certain things. That could be a leadership attribute as well. Like I said before, volunteer work is there stuff outside of work that you've done. You're a leader in your church, for example, or you're a leader in a sports club, or, even at university, for example, or, college or whatever, like you led certain functions. That's a really great opportunity to kind of look through that. Okay, so let's just say that you've looked through all that and say, Chris, yeah, I've done some operational stuff. Everyone has some leadership stuff in that, but I haven't had much people-based experience. I would see that as a real opportunity. And rather than going straight to training, which is an obvious first step, and a good step depending on the different paths of your career, a training course is not going to make someone a leader. It's going to give them the theory around leadership. What's going to make you a leader is experience. So the first thing we want to look at is, what experiences could you actually get in your current role that enables you to have more leadership experience. So for example, what you could actually do is talk to your manager about what are the certain things that they do in their role as a leader. What are the sorts of things that you can actually do to support them in their role? So you might chat to them and say, hey, my career goal is to develop my leadership capabilities a bit more. Is there anything that I can do specifically to help you in your role? Most leaders have some piece of what they do that they don't particularly love doing. Even if it's a report, even if it's something really boring, that could be something that's really useful. Or you might sort of say, hey, look, I'm really interested in developing my people-based leadership skills. Could I could I be involved in the next recruitment process? So that I can see what a recruitment process is like, because that's, sometimes a leadership function as well. Or could I be involved in giving feedback to some other people in the team, if that's appropriate? Or you just say to your team leader, hey, I'm interested in being a leader in the future. What are some of the things that you think I could work on straight away? What are the things we could partner with? What are the things that we could connect with to get me to where I want to go? And just getting feedback from them about some of the things you could specifically work on. There might be projects that you could do in the organization, projects that are outside your work area, because chances are in your work area you already have an existing manager who may be really satisfied and may not be going anywhere. But if you connect with other areas, there could be opportunities there. And likewise, you can look outside your organization as well about leaders you admire and touch base with them if you don't feel comfortable within your own organization. So you could reach out to someone on LinkedIn and sort of say, hey, I really admired your posts. I really think your career history is really interesting. Here's why. I'm looking at developing my own leadership capabilities. Could I buy you a coffee or a virtual coffee and chat to you about your leadership journey? Yeah, who wouldn't say yes to that? People generally love talking about their experience, and as long as it's not threatening, they don't think you're asking them specifically to get a job, then most people are open to sharing their experience. And when you talk to lots of different people, you'll get a real pattern for how people have actually navigated that. The leaders today weren't always leaders, so they've had to bridge that gap. So by learning from them about that gap, you can sort of follow in their particular footsteps. So getting experience, talking to people who have experience are probably the things that I do before doing training, unless training was offered for free or was kind of available. There are lots of LinkedIn learning courses you can sometimes do. You get a free trial, for example. There might be some leadership stuff on there, but that's probably going to build your confidence and your vocabulary about being a leader. It's probably not going to increase your employability as a leader that much, because if you've got a candidate who's got on the ground experience or can demonstrate that versus someone else that's just done training, it's not as strong, but it's a good positive step. So what I really encourage you to do is to learn the leadership language, look at the frameworks, get some feedback about things that you could be doing differently. Be bold, be brave, put yourself out there, apply for stuff if you're interested, because you never know what's going to happen. And every leader today wasn't a leader at some point. So, recognizing that it does actually take time. Be kind with yourself. If you apply for something and don't get it, that's okay. It does take a bit of time. Any good position will have more people applying for it. If you're the only one applying for something, there's probably a reason. Anyway, you have any questions or comments, please put them there. If you've got tips for other people about how you've become a leader or your strategy that you're using, love to include that as part of the sharing community. Thank you so much for your time. If you like this video, like and subscribe, and look forward to seeing you in the next sets of videos. Thank you. Bye-bye.